So to bring all of this transform and smart object stuff together, I want to show you how you can create a multi-layer object like a logo and apply it to 3D objects. Now this is pretty cool. So I'm going to hide this layer for a minute and show you the layers I've got. I've got a purple square, a white circle, and yellow text. And you know what? I think I'm going to switch the colors on these so that my circle is yellow and my text is white. There we go. Okay, so in my layers I'm going to select all three of the layers that I want to be my logo, right click and turn it into a smart object. So yes, you can take more than one layer and turn it into a smart object. Next I'm going to put this smart object up in the corner and create a duplicate by holding down Option when I click and drag, and then hide my original. You'll see why in a minute. Now I'm going to turn on my objects. So here's my logo. Let's start with putting this logo on a side of this box. So I'm going to grab my move tool, click and drag on it, and I'm going to start by lining up this bottom left corner. When I hit Command T to transform, I get my transform controls. I can just hold down Command, which will let me move each of these corners to where I want them on the box. Now I don't want this logo to go all the way to the very edges, so I'm kind of just eyeballing it so that they're the same distance from each corner, and then hit enter, and now it looks like it has actually been put on the side of that box. You can do more things to it, like change the blend mode or lower the opacity just a little bit so that it looks like it's been stamped on to the cardboard. So right now I just changed the blend mode to multiply. There might be a better one in there. I'm not going to spend much time searching for it. We'll just go with multiply for now. So here, if I get my original layer and make another copy and then hide the original, I can transform the second copy to fit the top area of the box. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm just holding down Command and moving those corners. Just to show you actually don't have to have that original copy, I'm going to hold down Command Option and click and drag this top one, and then when I hit Command T to transform, I can still just hold Command and move these corners around, and it might look kind of funky for a minute until I get my corners sorted out. You'll notice it went through kind of a funky stage, and that's really why I'll save an original that isn't transformed so that I don't lose a corner in the funkiness here. Alright. Part of applying an object like a logo to a box or a cup or a circle is trying to make it match the lighting and texture of that object. Now on our very first layer that we applied, we put a multiply blend mode on. So I'm going to grab these other two and put multiply on them just to see how that looks. Now I feel like the top is a little too strong because there would be light coming down on that, so I've selected that top layer and reduced the opacity a little bit, which is one of the tricks we can use to make something look like it's part of that object. Okay, so here's the really cool thing. If I decided that I wanted to put a white stroke around that yellow circle, instead of having to do all that work over again, I could double click on one of these copies, add a stroke to this layer by double clicking on it, adjusting the effect, hitting OK, and now if I save it, Command S, and close the window, Command W, it will automatically update every single one of those copies that I have on my whole document, which is pretty darn cool. So we've applied to a box, let's apply to a cup. Copy of that original, hide the original. Now this one is so big I can't really see my cup. So one of the tricks you can do is just lower the opacity so you can see where this is. Next, hit Command T and realize this is a curved area, so I'm going to want to use a warp function. You can do that by clicking on the warp button up in the control bar, or right-clicking and choosing warp. If you right-click and choose warp, it'll automatically set it to custom, which I believe might be what we want. I haven't actually tried this one out, so we'll find out. I'm going to move these sides in and then grab these top little control areas and try and just fit this to the actual outside or the actual edges of this cup so that the shape fits. Now I will tell you this, I know that somewhere in its depths Photoshop actually has some pretty cool 3D apply object or texture effects. I have not used those yet. Those are some newer, fancier features that I've never really had cause to use because a single application of a logo for me just isn't worth the trouble of learning the new stuff. So here's one way you could apply it. Personally, I don't think that looks that great, so I'm going to hit Command Z to undo. This time, when I hit Command T, I'm going to scale this in from all sides by holding Shift and Option together to make it smaller. And this time, when I hit the warp button, I'm going to go to my drop down and choose whichever one seems to fit the shape of the cup the best. And in this case, I feel like probably bulge would probably work the best. Now that took the effect way too far, so I'm going to click on the little control and bring it down, and what I'm looking at is the curve on this cup. And once you've matched that, hit enter and then move through your blend modes to find one that looks like it's actually on the cup. And I'm going to leave it to your creativity to try that last circle by making another copy of the logo.